right on time as promised as always. What's good, good people? We are back another Wednesday for the Pulse. Yes. I'm excited. Tonight is going to be a pretty lively topic that we've got to hop into. I see I made a little bit of a mistake on the title. I've missed the zero. It makes a huge difference when you're talking about billions.
No.
Not 1 billion, but 10 billion is what I meant to actually put.
Yes.
But we will definitely.
I thought it was another look. I thought he was suing him again for something else.
No, there is a 1 billion lawsuit that he's filed against Harvard, but that's not what I wanted for us.
Yours is the IRS one.
Yeah. We talking about the IRS one because that's the one that matters. When you are the federal government suing the federal government. But we'll hop into that in a second. Before we do, as always, gentlemen, how has your week been? We'll start with you, Lynn.
It's been good so far. Opportunities abound. No complaints. It's just every single day. If I was a comedian, I would eat for 4 years straight because every single day, this guy gives you something.
Absolutely.
To just do a whole set. A 7 o'clock set, 9 o'clock set, midnight set, but I'm here ready to rock and roll, ready to discuss what's happened in the last few days. I will tell you this. I was joking with Stephanie, I think earlier today or yesterday. I said, babe, did you realize we were shut down over the weekend? That was the quietest shutdown ever. Or is it just me?
No. That's the truth.
No snap, crackle, and pop. No, no nothing. Everybody was at work. Nobody missed a paycheck.
Nope.
I mean, that was a quiet little shutdown.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I some of it I think partially goes back to what I said last week about it's nothing for and Richard pointed it out also. It's not like they were going to stop any funding that went to ICE because it had already been allocated. It's been allocated. So the ability for them to actually make any change on the Democratic side was low to none, quite honestly. And a lot of people, I think, ended up losing faith in the Democratic Party and their holdouts once you had those, what was it, 5 senators, one liberal? I can't remember the count anymore. But
the ones that sold them out, 7 and 1.
7 and 1. Once they caved, I think that kind of just disenfranchised a lot of people for the Democrats being able to hold out on their end of the deal. So that's just me. I could be wrong. But yeah, very, very quick, very quiet shutdown that was resolved fast. Rich, how about you?
Let's get to it.
Give me 1 second. We'll hop into it. I'm trying to see if Deuce has sent anything. I haven't seen anything just yet, but I'm going to check. Give me 1 second. Doesn't look like he has. So we'll proceed. He'll probably hop on as soon as he gets time to. But for all intents and purposes, we are going to push forward with.
He just sent a text.
Okay, I'm on Do Not Disturb. What'd he say?
Yeah, he said, America comes first. He said, quote, I swear this job, I'm dealing with a soldier issue. So.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. I understand. It's one of the reasons why I'm happy that I hung the uniform up. So, yeah. So tonight, for Zach, we are going to be talking about national voting according to POTUS, as well as the $10.5 billion lawsuit the administration, well, because he said he's filed it as under a private citizen, on behalf of himself and his family that is against the IRS. What you got? What you got, Rich? Well, I saw you about to say something.
Are you sure he did the work, or did the law firms that made the agreement, when they made the agreement, he went back in office about they would do work for the federal government later and ask him also, by the way, will you also take care of some of my personal business? So, did he
That's a good question.
Personally, or did one of those famous, powerful law firms do it for him?
Yeah, but even though they're doing it for him, they're actually doing it.
Did they? I don't know if they did or not.
Oh, that I'm not sure of, but something was filed on his behalf.
Okay.
On his behalf by a law firm, whether it's the same people that are participating in the current DOJ or not, it was still filed on behalf of Donald J. Trump and his family against the IRS. But that's jumping a little bit ahead. Let's pull back a little bit and let's jump into the national voting suggestion that the president has begun to start mentioning, as he often does in his conversations, right? Here recently, he's doubled down on talking about nationalizing the voting in America so that the federal government has control of it. Currently, there are multiple different amendments in the Constitution that not necessarily bar the administration from controlling voting, but as the 10th Amendment outlines, it's something that was not given to the federal government. And since it wasn't given to the federal government, according to the Constitution, it pretty much automatically goes back to the states, which is why the states have control over their elections, over their voting and how it's set up and how it's run, so on and so forth. So let's just start off with a softball question, and we'll start with you, Lynn. Are you in agreement with nationalizing voting?
No.
Straightforward.
No, and for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
But the number one reason for me personally is, one of the things, when you think about the name of our country, it's the United States. And what makes, I believe, the United States great is that you have the ability to pick the place that works best for you. And I've lived, I started out in Philadelphia, I went down a couple of states, I lived in the District of Columbia. Then I lived, I started out in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, District of Columbia, Commonwealth of Virginia. Now I'm here in the great state of Texas. And, all those entities do it different. And nationalizing something sounds a little bit too close to brown shirt activity, if you know what I mean. I'm
picking up what you're putting down. I'm absolutely picking up what you're putting down.
So I say no way. And it's it sounds like a way for him to snake his way into another term.
And I think this is this is on the lines of what you're saying, Lynn, also because as James commented, he pays property tax wherever he lives. And so the area that he stays in, those monies should be going into how voting is governed, and how the polls look, the times that they're open, the amount of people that should be able to be hired to run them, so on and so forth. So, okay, I just wanted to read that out loud.
And you're being inconsistent. You want to push education to the states, but you want to pull the voting from the states. Make up, and I know this won't ever happen, but I'm still going to say it. Make up your mind, who you are. Because one of the craziest things I heard today was that he don't know nothing about crypto and what his kids are doing in the crypto world. Maybe that should be nationalized too.
I don't disagree with that at all. Rich, where are you sitting? And I'm asking you, and the reason why I asked you second is because of your different involvement with elections, right? As your title says, president of Local 1000, you've got a bit of a different view on this, and so I want to give you a little more space to talk about.
Actually, when people watch this show, I want people to know I'm consistent in what I say.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm consistent, when I say that if you come to this country without your correct paperwork, you come illegally, you're wrong. So let me be consistent. The U.S. Constitution says the states run their ballot, period. It stops right there. It's just that simple. This is just a distraction. Just like he said he's going to run for a third term. No, you're not. No, you're not. So this is a distraction. If this was to go to the United States Supreme Court, like they just did last, I think Friday or yesterday, they ruled unanimously 9-0 that what California did with its redistricting, just like Texas, was fair. 9-0. So when the U.S. Supreme Court makes a 9-0 decision that goes against Trump, but he needs to come out with something to distract from that. But the biggest distraction, or his biggest problem, is that Epstein situation. It still won't go away. And so, it's not just the fact you have Republicans and Democrats going to Epstein Island. This is a deeper issue about not just about underage girls, but what type of ritualistic stuff are you doing? See, now you're touching at the heart of a lot of the conspiracies. And they say, well, the conspiracies don't mean anything. But when you have the far left and the far right wanting to know, and they can't agree on anything, and I'm except for the end of the earth, that they can agree on.
Yeah.
So this thing about this nationalized elections, he'll say anything to get you talking about one thing while he's doing something else. He knows this is an absolute loser. And here's the second thing that Lynn was saying. Last January, you brought that long ass document online. And in there it said something about they wanted to have limited big government.
Yes.
Limited big government. And that is the Republican backbone.
Wow.
We want the states. This is how I say this. We want the states, starting with the Confederacy, we want the states to control their destiny and have a small, limited big government. But whoever is in power in the White House, if it's a Republican, they want big government to dictate the pace. If it's a Democrat, they consistently have said we want big government because of the 60s when they had to use federal troops to integrate in the 50s and 60s. They had to. But now when they use federal, quote, ICE, another form of federal troops to enforce the law, now the Democrats say we want the states to control it. So whoever's in the White House, that's how they sing their song. What I have simply said to everyone, I don't sing to the Democrats or the Republicans. I go issue by issue. Yeah. So you cannot tell me to tote the party line. I have no line except for the line of righteousness. Now, in all actuality, in my personal opinion, going against the U.S. Constitution, there should be a federal standard when you're electing the president of America. But that's not how they see it. You say every state can dictate how they do their ballot box. I can see if you were doing that for state leaders. But when it comes to your president and to the Congress, you would think you would have a federal standard. But I'm done.
So let me throw this out there, and just to I don't want to say play the devil's advocate, because he's done himself his own justice in this manner. But one of the reasons, as he explained talking to Tony Lamas, I believe, was he's wanting to nationalize the polls for voter security, right? That was one of the big reasons. And we recently saw also that Georgia has had their 2020 ballot stolen. I mean, raided, not raided,
confiscated. He's still looking for another look. 11,780 votes. He's still looking for them.
Right. Right. And so let me pause real quick and let everyone who's listening and in the comments know that if you would like to come onto the panel to actually discuss your opinion or your theory, by all means, I'll post the link frequently. This is not a panel to where we're going to degrade you, but we will test your limits on the knowledge of your actual opinion to see if your opinion is making any sense, and we will pull up real time facts, right? So I just wanted to put that out there and make sure everybody sees the link. I just posted it again, and if you want to hop on, by all means, just click that link and we'll pull you in. So back to the discussion. So are we right now in a situation to where our ballot boxes, our voting places are experiencing tons of different actual fraud to the point to where we would need a nationalized voting act to be pushed out? I'll start with you on that one, Rich.
Who knows? I'm looking at the comments. Here's our first problem. We can't enforce our border. Well, we're enforcing the border now, but the people who came over here or stayed past their time, who are here now illegally, they don't want to leave. We don't know if they're voting or not in these elections. So when people make these suggestions that maybe there were some votes missing in some states, so the person said election board found 315,000 uncertified votes illegally counted.
Where?
This is what this person is saying in Georgia. Now, in every state, will there be some votes that weren't counted or were counted and should not have been counted? I'm going to say yes. Anywhere from maybe, 500 to maybe, 1,000, maybe 10,000. Is it enough to swing an election? I don't know. Go back and ask JFK back in 1960 when they won Illinois. So it's, do I trust when the Republicans say, or when Donald Trump says, hey, the votes were stolen from me? I don't know if I believe his whole storyline. Okay. But do I believe that he was persecuted in the court system? Absolutely. So if he comes out and says, they're doing 10 things wrong against me, he may be right on 6 or 7, but on 2 or 3, he may just be blowing smoke. But here's the problem. When you don't tell the complete truth from neither side, then what do? Get your lawyers, get your lobbyists, get your friends in the media. Now let's go to court and swing this jury. Or let's appoint United States Supreme Court justices who believe in what I believe in, which is what he's done with the United States Supreme Court. But he's no different than any other president who wants to run it. They're going to put people in the United States Supreme Court that's going to back them up 7 out of 10 times. So with that being said, could we clean up our elections? Well, first of all, we don't even mandate per state that you got to have voter ID, that you have to show your ID to vote. We don't even mandate that. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the African American community say we cannot do that because we'll face discrimination. Here's what I say to that. So all the older Black people, I respect you. But here's what I do know. Anytime I leave my house, if I don't have my ID on me and there's a crime within a 10-mile or 100-mile radius and it's an African-American male, if I don't have my ID, tag. I may have just caught a case. So if I can carry my ID to keep myself protected, somewhat protected, when I go out here in these streets, when I'm traveling, then you think I should have to have some type of ID to vote if I go to the voters booth or sign up to vote by mail.
Which is about to be another issue in and of itself, the mail-in ballots. But before we go further down that
hurts the Democratic Party, the mail-in ballots.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Lynn, what about you on voting security? Where do you think we are with that?
All right, look, what anyone who knows me can always attest about me is that I am consistent. And let's use the word perfect.
Okay.
In our world, where does perfect exist?
in everybody's mind.
Right. But is there a perfect system?
No.
No. I can tell you when I vote, every time I have voted here in Texas, I have had to show ID at the poll. Period. And have done so. With respect to I'm telling you, Rich, you always get me when you talk about the president being persecuted. Because here's what I'm going to say. If you had done what he did, which was take deductions for some shenanigans, what would have happened to you in a court of law? You. What would happen to you, Richard Lewis Brown, president? What would happen? Would you have gotten 34 felony counts?
I probably would have got 230.
No. Would you have gotten 34 is my question.
Again.
It's yes or no. It's not an essay. I'll take that as a yes. See, my point is, because I know if it had been, listen, I would have left there with 34 counts. And you know what? And when people said, you know what, don't hire Lynn Medeiros because he's a 34-time felon. Right. You know who would have said, oh man, those was trumped up charges. He was being persecuted. He ain't do nothing wrong. You know how many people would say that? Zero.
But Mr. Medeiros.
Yes.
Before you start coming on the show regularly, I was the only one on the show that defended Sean Puffy Combs because he hadn't had his trial yet. Black folks had already said he was guilty.
This is true.
Here's a consistent thing, and I didn't know this many people would be this interested tonight about voter ID.
Yeah.
Because we always say on this show, even though we're all black people, well, except for Mr. Keith Ross, that we may not always say the things that you would hear most black people say. Not always. Because I believe that you should be able to show your ID for voting.
Well, here, let me ask you this, Rich. And this for you too, James.
Mm-hmm.
How many black people do you know? No. I mean, you know them. That do not possess identification. Seriously. You ain't taking a flight without identification.
Yeah, that's sure enough.
You ain't renting a car.
Yeah.
So when people going on a girls trip, blah, 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 whatever, we going to Vegas for the bachelor party. Guess what you're not doing without an ID? And my point is that ID thing is more trumped up BS. And I see you, Richard. I see the hamster running. I don't think you came up with one black person in your world that you know don't have an ID.
No.
One?
Hold on, but wait.
Did you come up with one?
Lynn, here's the funny thing about how you're saying this. You and I sound like we're Republicans, and we're not. Because what we're saying is you should have to have an ID if you go and vote. If you're not
what I'm saying is my people are ID'd up.
Hold on.
That's what I'm saying.
No. Wait. Here's where some of the people who are coming on this show who I think are Republican. The Democrats have always fought against voter ID because a lot of older African Americans, particularly in the South, said they don't have no identification or whatsoever, and that they would be discriminated against. So here we are a lot of times on the show saying things that, most of the time the African American community says the same thing. But on this particular matter, I know I'm on an island by myself. I'm shocked to hear Lynn say the same thing.
Say what?
That we should have, if you go vote at a poll.
No, I'm not saying we should have. What I'm saying is we have.
Not every state.
Listen, you know what? I'm a Democrat. And I'll tell you, where we fall down? When we get stuck on the exception.
Yeah.
And that keeps you distracted from the rule. I will tell you, as a rule, black people got ID. As a rule, all over this country.
But hold on, the Democratic Party is not for voter ID the same way the Democratic Party is not for.
No, they're getting hung up on the black people that don't have ID, which is the exception.
Right. Okay.
And that's what we always did. Look, trans stuff. Hold on,
trans
stuff.
But wait a minute.
Is exceptional.
Hold on a
right?
second.
And
but
distracting.
But I want people to hear this tonight, because I know Keith Ross hasn't said anything yet. I want people to hear this tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You have two African Americans, one from the East, one from the South, who are saying, we don't see anything wrong with you having to show your ID.
No, see, Richard, that's not what I'm saying.
He's saying we already got it.
We got ID.
We already have it.
That's not the point.
Move on
That's not the point.
else.
That's not the
we
point.
got ID.
Hold on. That's not the point. Listen to the point. Listen to the. Listen to the. No. Listen to the exact point. No.
It was my turn to talk.
Hold on, Lynn. Listen, everybody. I can tell this is an
That's
issue.
the point I made.
But
we
listen,
got ID.
I want all the right. But I want all the European Americans, Caucasians, white folks who are listening to this show tonight. I want them to understand this. When Mr. Medeiros goes to vote, because he exercises his privilege to vote, his right to vote, and if he goes in person, because I vote by mail and I'll photocopy my ballot. When he goes in person, and in the state of Texas, who controls their ballot box and say, Mr. Medeiros, show me some ID. He does not give no lip. He doesn't give no attitude. He is professional. He shows his ID, shows where he lives, and they say, you're on our roll. Mr. Medeiros, please cast your vote in privacy. And that's what he does. He does not act a fool.
And I don't vote on election day either. You know when I vote? I vote early.
Okay. So I'm a person that believes that I vote by absentee ballot and I photocopy my ballot. So when someone tries to call me out to say how I voted on something, I can show you on my phone, my PDF of my voting ballot. Mm-hmm. Rarely do people really do that, but I do to keep people in line. Because first of all, I exercise my right to vote, and we want everybody in America to vote. We don't want to hear no excuses. When Mr. Medeiros says he goes and votes early, brilliant move. Because if you wait till election day and go stand in line, in some places they may close that ballot booth down early,
or they run out of paper.
Particularly in the inner city.
Yep.
Okay, so. Stop giving it. I want people to really hear this tonight. This is where we're not giving no excuses about not voting, period. Because we understand how important. Don't come on complaining about the system, which a lot of people may think that's what we do. We complain about the country that we already served. Okay. We exercise our right to vote, and then we can still have an opinion about the country. Because we realize that when they tell us in this country, we're a country of immigrants, that's an absolute lie. We're a country of immigrants and descendants of enslaved Africans. I'm stopping right there.
All right.
What's up, guys?
Good to see you again, man.
Good to see you, bro. You caught me at a good time.
And I owe you a call, but we'll get into that later.
It's all good. So yeah, it wouldn't be me if I didn't jump in on the topic. But yeah, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, man. Good.
Okay, so I got a question. Okay. All right. So I hear you on everything you just said, and I'm sure it's coming from a good place. My question is, how do you feel about well, first of all, I don't even know if you're aware, but they're doing some real sneaky things this midterm to try to sabotage this voting process. One of which that I can't believe nobody is talking about is basically Trump's postmaster general that he installed there has now changed the policy, and the post office will no longer guarantee that your mail will be postmarked on the date that you actually bring it to the post office and get it, to them.
You actually beat me to that because I was going to another point that I. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So my first thing is that, because clearly that leaves things open to in predominantly blue areas, holding on to their mail to make sure that it doesn't get to its destination postmarked in time to qualify. So I'm wondering, number one, how do you feel about that? And what are your thoughts on that? And then number two, as recently as I believe yesterday, Steve Bannon let out what one of their other strategies is going to be, which is positioning ICE at the polls.
Yeah.
And essentially, without saying it, he said they're there to intimidate voters.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on that.
Can I answer that real quick?
Please do.
Mr. Medeiros has already said he does not wait to the last minute. He ensures if he goes in person, he goes early. I also, when I get my ballot and I photocopy my ballot in the state of California, I don't put it in the mail. I drive it down there to the registration office and put it in their mailbox right out front. So there is no excuse for not getting your ballot back in time. If you wait to the last minute,
then you set
to do a mail-in ballot, and then you put it in the mail. Well, I mailed it on November 2nd or November 4th. That's good enough. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for it to get lost in the mail.
But are you, if that's part of the process that's been established and utilized for all this time, why is the onus on the people who are voting rather than the system that's been put in place for those people to follow those rules and still cast their votes? Why do they have to go 3 extra miles to get things done? And potentially have to drive to a place that they don't necessarily know where to go. The average American, I mean, look, Richard, you know, I don't agree with a lot of the things that you may say, but you are an educated person, and so you tend to know more than the average person necessarily on the process of this versus the people that just say, I want my vote to be cast. So my question is, if our system is set up so that people can vote a certain way, why do they have to go, work exponentially harder to utilize the system that's supposed to work within the confines of how, they set it up?
Well, first of all, thank you for that.
Hey, team. Hey, Mass R&V here, baby. Hey, you guys hear that Trump's going to steal all Dalmatians from everybody's houses as well? I just want to put it out there, all your Dalmatians will be taken, number one. And then number two, when it comes to voting, right, you have to have a valid driver's license, i.e. why the license now have to have a star on it, right, to show that it is an actual driver's license for different things on there. So just real quick, Rich, before you jump on there, I just want you to know that Trump is stealing everyone's Dalmatians currently as well. Over.
All right.
Thanks, B.
so glad you shared that with us. So, I really felt like that was important to know.
Hey, guy, I got you. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
So let me say this again to Mr. Keith Ross. Thank you for the respect. But whether I had a college degree or not, common sense tells me that the majority of this country, it's very tricky, but currently we're going towards a very liberal situation. So when you look at the good things of the Democratic Party, they want everybody to vote because they're trying to get your vote, because they're trying to give everything out for free. The Republican Party kind of wants to narrow that voting pool down. That voting pool down. So they're going to try to put some restrictions in there as road bumps to see if you have the dedication and the intelligence and the persistence. What I know is all the older Black people from back in the day, whether they had to walk miles to vote, they did that. They didn't make no excuses. So I'm not going to make no excuse. If President Trump puts a postmaster general in there and says, well, we're going to make it kind of tricky on how you vote, if you vote by mail, that's fine. I expect you to put roadblocks, because in this country, they put roadblocks to see if you really have the determination. It's no different when we serve the country voluntarily. When you serve the country voluntarily, there's going to be some roadblocks. They're going to put some things in our path in basic training to see just how bad do you want this. So, unfortunately, Mr. Ross, you are correct. The system should work to make it convenient. If you say, Mr. Ross, Well, we need to have a national holiday for voting.
I agree.
I would say,
Election
Mr.
day should be a
Ross,
holiday.
you are
I
correct.
totally agree. Yeah.
Well, we're on the same page.
Election
Yeah.
day should be a holiday. Here, let me say this, Keith. What I do appreciate is the hazards. It's like my GPS telling me that there's a speed trap coming.
Yeah.
So now I know. I appreciate this, and I hope that people that look, because if you really want to vote, then you know what you got to do. You gotta avoid these potholes. You gotta avoid the waiting to the last minute and mailing your ballot pothole, and you gotta wait till the election day because I don't think they can put ICE people at every at every poll.
Oh, I think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to put them at every poll.
Right.
I think they're going to do them in predominantly blue areas and predominantly minority areas. And even if they're not catching people off guard to where they can intimidate them to vote or not vote a certain way, it can create enough of distraction by harassing people that look like they fit the profile for who they're after.
Right.
And
Now remember in Georgia when they came out with the you can't give somebody a bottle of water in
Yep.
line while they're voting.
Yep,
Whatever,
absolutely.
Whatever happened? Nothing. This is just, in my opinion, hot air. And see, I am solutions oriented. So when problems come up, I don't sweat them because all I'm looking for is the solution. What I feel we need to do if voting is important to you. I don't know if I was the one that ever I probably heard it somewhere, but I've made this a mantra of my life. What you care about gets done. Period. If you care about something, it's going to get done. If you care about casting your vote, it's going to get done. Because ICE shouldn't be intimidating people that are not registered, that are registered to vote.
Well, they shouldn't be murdering people in the streets.
That's true.
Either.
That's true.
So,
I totally agree.
Wait a minute.
I
We can't
totally
say
agree.
murder because they haven't been convicted yet. We can't say murder. They haven't been convicted.
Huh? No,
we
you can't
watched
say
it.
murder.
We watched it.
No, you can say
George
murder.
Floyd, we knew that was murder before
you can say murder, 'cause
before
that's what you believe.
Chauvin was convicted.
That's what you believe. We don't have to adhere to the final gavel of a judge on this platform. I believe he was murdered.
Well,
I saw, I don't know what you saw, but I saw his gun get taken and then him get executed. That's what I saw.
All right. So I thought you were referring to these last two ICE agents regarding Alex Prete. All right.
I am.
So,
I am.
Okay.
So
here,
somebody took his gun and and two people shot him.
At point blank range.
At least once in the head.
Here. I'm gonna do this. What you just said, Mr. Lynn Medeiros. If it's really important to someone, they get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly agree with. So what has happened tonight is two people who normally are going at it on this show are in alignment because we know how important voting is. This is kind of interesting. We are in complete alignment on this. And I didn't know with all these comments that people are this emotionally charged about voting, which I'm kind of glad that they are. But if they put ICE at the polls, I'm gonna tell you the number one state that's gonna be affected. It's the state I live in. Because in this state, when you get a driver's license in this state, through hook or crook, no matter how you get your driver's license, they send you a voter's registration. They want you voting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you decide to go on and sign up to vote, and you're not really here, plus you're not really here legally, and then you go down here to the voting poll, you see them ICE people walking around, is it worth it? Now, if listen to this, if 1 million immigrants come across the border illegally, not overstaying or visa, they came across illegally to begin with, and let's just suppose 100,000 of that 1 million were voting, would it be able to really affect, because California is a huge state, would it be able to affect turning California from blue to red? Somebody within Trump's strategy team is telling him, all of these counties in California, all 58 counties, we've gained a headway to where we have more red in some of these counties than we ever thought we could have. And so maybe it was a possibility that if we think some of those people who are voting are illegal, and we can scare them off from the poll because they go vote in person versus voting mail-in, maybe, and it's a fat maybe we can swing California. Just put it out there.
And you think that's their only tactic, right?
No,
So what about the gerrymandering that's happening, or that they're trying to make happen in red states? So far, only Texas has successfully been able to do it. As recently as today, Trump's Supreme Court ruled in favor of California. So this is now going to turn into a gerrymandering war. I believe that in the future, because this will absolutely be in textbooks, this is going to be battle of the gerrymandering this election. And I think that gerrymandering from the beginning should never have been allowed. It should be illegal because it does not represent the people. In any scenario, it doesn't represent the people, and districts should not be drawn in that manner. It also makes it a lot easier in gerrymandered locations that for basically, someone like Trump and his, MAGA minions to go out and go and try to sabotage those precincts. Mitch McConnell did it in Kentucky, where he made the voting conditions absolutely horrendous in predominantly blue districts that were predominantly black. And I mean, he made sure that the lines were, 4 or 5 hours long just to get in there to vote. So gerrymandering should never be happening, period. But now, people like Gavin Newsom have to fight back against what's his face from Texas, who I've said his name a million times and I'm drawing a blank on.
Abbott?
But thank you, Greg Abbott.
Yeah.
So Gavin Newsom has to do that to counteract that. Abigail Spanberger, she's doing what she can to counteract that. And now, because the MAGA loyalists don't want to play fair, and they don't want a fair election. I've been looking at the comments, and somebody said Republicans just want a fair election. That's ridiculous, because if they wanted a fair election, they wouldn't go in and seize voter rolls. If they wanted a fair election, then the post office wouldn't be doing what they're doing. If they wanted a fair election, there's a million reasons why that's just not accurate, up to and including the fact that there's literally a recording of Trump from the last election trying to get the vote swung his way.
180 votes.
Yep. And so the last thing they want is a fair election, and Trump is literally talking about not leaving office, at the beginning of his presidency, and finding ways to scam the system. And then there was also the recording where he was like, and I quote, "If I'm going down, I'm taking all of you down with me. I don't care what you have to do. Start a fucking war or something." Those were his words. So.
Hey, baby, hey, let's go. So if individuals in California cared about them, so when that fire happened, where was the water to put out the?
That has nothing to do with voting. That has nothing to.
No. I'm asking a simple question, because if you talk about California, right? Like, where was the water to put out the fire? Which there was none. And again,
I agree with you on that. I think it was completely managed before the fires even happened.
No.
Fires, by the way, were arson. But
it wasn't mismanaged. That right there is abuse, fraud to the individuals, for the fact that individuals can't do their job because they don't have the fire hoses, the hose that connect to it, and say, hey, guess what? We can do this. All we can do is jump in a pond with a helicopter, grab the shit, put it on a fire. But guess what? That's fine, because Californians, like, oh man, that's crazy. And I'm not trying to be rude or nothing, but I just want you to understand this, like, my perspective of it, like, from somebody who's in the Midwest, like, we love our waters, we do this. Guess what? We provide our first responders the chance to do their job. What California has done is waste, fraud, and abuse, and I would love to see that freaking report. But guess what? Put it with the Epstein files, right? With everything else, fucking tuck it away, because Newsom is not good. That man is gruesome. in all reality, and you may not like my terms or my rhetoric on how I'm stating what I'm saying, but like, holy crap, like I truly hate California personally, due to other issues and nothing legal, just of my occupation. But if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. If I'm not, then I'm not. But you have to prove me wrong, generally, to say that how the fuck there's no water in the goddamn fire hydrants to put out fires?
Okay, so I just want to address that. The first thing I want to address actually is the simplest thing out of everything that you said. You said you hate California, and you
Absolutely, yeah.
And so my thing is this: that is literally the byproduct of a president who's really an anti-president who divides the people of this country from day one. He is.
Trump wasn't even president when I was there.
What's up?
Trump wasn't even president.
Sorry,
when I
my
was
phone
there.
rang. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Trump wasn't even
you guys hear
president
me?
when I was there because that's how much of a
somebody
shithole California is.
So,
California sucks, dude.
but
It is
what
it
I'm
is.
saying is Trump turned everyone against each other. First of all, you're not my
Trump wasn't even
enemy.
the president
Richard is
when I
not
was
my
there.
enemy. None.
Oh, hey,
He's getting
literally got
Hey,
he's literally got that goddamn.
V.
He's got that fire hydrant goddamn.
Hold on, hey
internet,
V.
bro.
Hold on a second, V. Hold on a second.
There's no reason we should be hating anyone.
Hold on a second.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, you
I'm
weren't
not
getting
hating,
audio
I'm
on
not
my
hating
end.
you generally. I just hate
Hold on,
staying in California.
Right, but
That's all I'm saying.
I've lived in California for a period of time, and I know what you're saying, and I know it's accurate. But we're talking about this voting situation. And so when Mr. Ross laid out all the gerrymandering tactics from the Republican Party, unfortunately, it goes both ways. Both parties have been accused accurately of trying to set the polls or set up the boundaries to get votes. Why is that? Why do both parties use the same cheating rules? Because this is a capitalist country that believed in we're going to make our money and get our power any which way but loose, which means if we got to take the Southwest, if we got to put Native Americans on reservations, if we have to enslave some Africans and tell them they are inferior to us for life, this is our foundation in this country. So when we talk about a two-party system that doesn't allow a third, fourth, and fifth option to really compete,
I totally agree with.
Okay, well then these two guys are going to do anything and everything to win. But in the case of President Trump, he's an East Coast mindset with a Southern disposition. He's going to call
Southern disposition, emphasis on the slavery part of that. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
But
So he's going to call you anything and everything, and he's not going to take anything back because that's an East Coast mindset with a Southern disposition. He doesn't care. When he told you in 2016, I'm going to keep my money, I'm not divesting anything, I'm not showing you my tax returns, and I'm going to win this bad boy, and I think I won 2020, and I'm going to stay consistent on that particular statement. Donald Trump's going to stay consistent on that, and then I'm going to come back in 24 and win that. So this is a wealthy Caucasian man from the East Coast with a prestigious education. I've never known a wealthy Caucasian man in this country that you can tell anything to. Now, if you can show me this wealthy Caucasian man with a prestigious education with money in this country, how to think and how to feel and how to make them apologize, start naming them.
Hey, Rich, and you're right on. So, as I said before, I'm literally on that teeter-totter, right? I don't give a shit about left or right, to be honest with you, right? Because if you look at Obama or whatever, or even Joe Biden, right? Sleepy Joe, at the end, it doesn't matter, or Trump or fucking Bush.
When you say Sleepy Joe, you're playing yourself, V.
yeah.
Just call
And
him Joe
Donald Trump,
Biden.
by the way, has been falling asleep in literally
Right.
everything,
Yeah, look, the non
as well as shitting his pants. By the way,
My
But
dad,
yeah.
but yeah, you yourself can sit there and sit there and state what you want to state and put yourself to bed with your comments. And you know, I respect that because we all have our own opinions on things, right?
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But at the end of the day, I said teeter-totter because at the end of the day, what I do in my career, it's a fucking teeter-totter every day for the fact that
V, what do you do?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What I do, Glass knows. Glass, is that fair?
It's fair. That's fair.
That's fair. That's fair. Yep.
What's fair?
I know what he does for a living.
Glass, is it fair that he keeps mentioning that he does a particular thing and doesn't tell us what he does? Is that fair?
That part isn't fair, but
No, that's not fair.
Here's the caveat to
That's
that.
not
Here's the
fair.
caveat to that. The reason why he can't essentially just come out and say what he does for a living is because he doesn't. We don't want to put him in a bad situation. So
Right,
in
so
order
don't
for him
reference
to,
it. That's
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. If you don't
And
want to
I
mention
don't
what you
disagree.
do, don't mention that you do something.
I mean, is
Okay.
it a government position? Is that why you can't say anything
Because
about
that's
it?
what happens. Now
Nope.
keep
it's
that-
strongly
Nope.
possible. It's strongly possible that
Not
They're-
at all. And I'll leave it as a point. And hey, Matt, hey, I got you there. 100%. But come on, guys. Like, again, I told Glasses, in all, I guess, I said I'm teeter-tottering. But at the end of
What
the
do you
day-
mean by teeter-tottering? By the
he's
way,
playing, he's on both sides. It sounds like that's
Oh.
what I'm hearing.
gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
translate teeter-tottering.
Thank you.
gotta,
Yes. I'm teeter-tottering because guess what? Both sides have interest in this country, right?
Mhm.
So V, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of comments, and I didn't know about him bringing up about nationalizing voting that people would be this. I've never seen this many comments this quickly
yeah.
coming from Democrat and Republican about this nationalized voting. This whole time I've been coming on this podcast, I see people who I've never seen their names. So V, are some of these people associated with you?
No.
Or no? Okay.
So let me actually state
I
for the
have not
record.
seen any of the comments because I'm talking to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some
Let me-
ridiculous comments on here.
Yeah, that's why I started banning some people. But let me state for the
Yeah.
record, there was back in the day, back in the 80s, a prominent Republican who gave the game away about the conservatives. And what his comment said, essentially, he said, no, I do not want everyone to vote. He was speaking for his party. He said, I don't want everyone to vote. And the reason why I don't want everyone to vote is because everyone essentially won't vote for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a conservative, to maintain the conservative way of voting, the way that we used to vote was essentially for rich white men to have and rule the vote. That's who voted. It wasn't this pool of everyone. But when blacks as well as other minorities began to jump into the actual voting pool, it began to pull the power away from the prominent people. When I say prominent people, I'm not necessarily simply talking about white people. What I'm talking about, in essence, is the wealthy class, right? It began to pull the power away in this republic that we have, and we had to begin to act as such. So when the people actually do begin to vote properly, without hurdles and without hoops, that's when our system works best. To nationalize the voting in and of itself does Americans a disservice. What a lot of people haven't figured out just yet, and this is something that Dr. Cornel West actually explained not too long ago, and I also read it some years ago in a couple of his books, but he coined a phrase and a term that I've had to think about for decades at this point. And he said, what you see happening along America today is a vast niggerization.
Oh,
And it's because
Jeez.
people are essentially having to realize that trying to identify with multimillionaires and billionaires, that's simply the game. They review and they revere you the exact same way they revere us. They simply know how to play the game with you and on you better. They can throw out a couple of things and you are stuck in a cycle of trying to assimilate with a class of people, a social class of people that you will never be able to work your way into.
Yeah. Can I piggyback on that? Because I think that was really well put. So all right. So I just wanted to address like certain things in the comments, right? So Linda Couch 2095 says Trump is the only president that didn't get rich from government. It's disgusting that people still take up for liberal. Well,
Give me a second. Let me find that.
Oh, that's very recent.
so yeah, so Linda, I'm wondering if you like own a TV or a phone and what your algorithm is like, because it literally just came out in Congress that Trump has made $1.4 billion this year. Plus, he accepted a private jet from Qatar that is worth $400 million that he plans on keeping after the presidency, which is, by the way, also illegal. And and a lot of the estimates think that he's made more than 1.4. That's just what they can quantify at this moment. So he hasn't divested from anything. He still has his ownership in all of his companies, as well as his stake in World Liberty Financial as well. And so he's running his crypto scams. And when you see him with all these threats of war and all this stuff, just know this is market manipulation, because war is the worst thing for the stock market and the worst thing for the crypto markets. And so what he's doing is he's making these threats so everyone panics, all his friends go up and they the fear, and then he backs off everything and everybody makes millions and billions of dollars. So for what's that?
One quick thing, I'll let you keep going. I saw something from Linda Couch and from, I think, James Stern about term limits.
Yeah.
I think this whole panel agrees on term limits.
100%.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Term limits.
Yep. Term limits, absolutely. So
when we try to demonize the Democratic Party, or we try to demonize the Republican Party, that's why I can always tell the people who watch this show, I don't belong to neither party. There are certain issues that I agree with from the Republican Party, certain issues from the Democratic Party. But I'm not going to demonize either party, because they're both guilty, equally guilty.
I can't say equally, but I will agree with guilty. Let me ask this question to the panel. We'll start with V, since you haven't been able to really get in too much, jokingly. What is the harm in adding safeguards to our voting polls? Does that hurt us, or does that help us as a nation and as a whole? V? Oh man! Oh, of course.
I guess we lost them.
So,
these comments are crazy right now.
Listen. Here's the thing about these comments.
Let's go.
Here's the thing about these comments. I've said this earlier. I've never seen this many people go off, and it seemed like it's almost a war between the Democrat comments and the Republican comments. Here's the thing about what they're saying to each other. They're both accurate. They're both right, because both parties.
Sorry, I couldn't hold that one.
Rich, let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, I'll stop. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead. I'll stop.
No,
all right,
hey.
go ahead.
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You got the first hit at that question.
Richard, let's go, baby.
No, what I'm seeing in these comments about some of the things that the Democrats have done wrong is accurate, and the Republicans have done some things wrong too. But you got to remember something: this country started on wrong. It's part of our foundation, and we're a capitalist competition country. Whoever has the most money is going to call the shots. And what Mr. Glass said, the initial voters of this country were white male property owners, and then came black men, and then women came in 1919. Okay, so when we talk about all the things that's been done wrong in this country, a lot of stuff has been done wrong. But when you think that one party is so superior to the other party, you're wrong. And here's the funny thing about this, and I'll stop right here. Everything that President Trump is doing, if the Democrats win in 2028, they're going to undo every single thing that he's done unless the Supreme Court has it in writing. And then they're going to act like big government and just do all kinds of stuff. And then you're going to hear the Republicans turn right around and say, we believe in limited government. It's the hypocrisy of both parties. I'll stop there.
Well, okay. So to address that, in a perfect world, they'd be able to undo all the damage that Trump has done. But realistically, I don't think in the next 50 years damage will be undone that Trump has done. He has taken our allies all over the world and made us borderline their enemies. Started trade wars with our partners, our closest trade partners. He has already proven that he pretty much just surrendered whatever our information is to Vladimir Putin. He is reshaping the world in favor of dictators, and now he has put us in a place where we are looked at as oppressive. And so now where we had allies all over the world and we were the leaders of the free world, we are no longer the leaders of the free world. We are barely participants in that anymore. And so NATO is at risk. If Trump were to invade Greenland, that's the end of everything. I mean, that is the end of everything. But in the absence of our humanitarian infrastructure that we've built all over the world, which Trump and Musk basically cut all funding to, essentially, guess who steps in? China steps in. China is going to become the good guy to all these other countries. It's already started. Canada has placed certain trade deals that we had them with trade deals with China. And so China has been waiting real patiently, and they've been waiting for all this time for the US to screw up under this guy. And when I say we have screwed up, I can't even say we screwed up because it was so intentional from the beginning from him. But we're in a place now where basically we were threatened by Europe with war if we went into Greenland to go fight for something that we already had the rights to do. But it's worth it for Trump and his buddies to make billions of dollars. So
so give me 1 second.
I'll yield back.
Yeah, I want to go back to V on that question that I just asked, to get back to voting, right? What do you see any issues with enhancing the guardrails surrounding voting, notwithstanding, right? Not putting roadblocks in the way of mail-in votes, because you and I know both personally, actually, most of us on this panel, how important mail-in ballots are to citizens spread globally, right? So what do you see as guardrails being good or bad for voting that this administration is actually starting to look at?
So, thank you. Great question. So, mail-in voting is a choice to everyone. Start there. But at the end of the day, depending on where you're at and or in which country you're at, it is our given right as a citizen of the United States. I believe that individuals who have not been citizenized at that point cannot do that, right? They can't do that. And per regulations and laws that are abided by us are there. And not trying to jump around your question, but at the end of the day, you just have to get your shit done. That's it.
Okay. So, Lynn, I'll throw that to you next. Same question.
Could you repeat the question? Because
Yeah, absolutely. What would be the harm of the? I know the comments are crazy right now. I've got trapped looking at them a couple of times. I'm trying not to be
It's
distracted.
insane. By the way, I have a feeling there's some bots in. Like there's somebody commenting whose name is anal tube something. Like
I've seen that. Okay. So I'm looking
and then
close.
Freaka Leak, and I'm like, well, Freaka Leak might be a real person. I'm not sure, but it's
So let me ask the question again. As far as our voting is concerned, do you think that there is harm in placing guardrails to ensure essentially that our votes are safer, to make sure that everyone who's supposed to vote can vote? Not necessarily everything that this administration is saying with the nationalization of voting, but some other things being placed in line in order to ensure that our voting is held safe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, improving processes is, for me, natural. As time marches on, technology advances. So your process should get smoother and smoother and more efficient and more efficient. I got no problem with that. I obviously have no problem with having to have an ID in order to vote. But once again, if most people voted like I do, you wouldn't have half the problems that we're talking about. Most people don't vote early. Most people wait till election day. Now, sometimes that's due to circumstance, but sometimes that's due to choice. But I did want to make this note that, messing with postmarks doesn't just affect voting. You know what it affects? Taxes.
Yep. That's a fact.
And health insurance. So you mess with taxes and health insurance, people's financial well-being and their health well-being, so that you can try
That's
to
a good
not
point.
lose an election in the fall. Because that's all this is about. You're changing the rules. You're moving the chess pieces on the chessboard so you don't lose your power in the fall.
And don't forget, they were also trying to make it so that you can't vote if your last name on your ID doesn't match your birth certificate. And that's not everywhere, because that's not here. Like no. As far as I know, they were unsuccessful in that. But that was one of the tactics they tried to push through.
They're going to try everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
give me a voting.
Please supply that information to us so that we can digest it. Because
we actually went over that. I read the actual provision that was pushed out on one of our previous podcasts, but it was a Voting Rights Act that would have precluded women who had been recently married, and they would have to essentially carry around the birth certificate in order to prove that they were who they said they were, because they recently had a last name change. That was something that came out of this administration.
Right. But here's the thing. Once again, states have the right to not adopt that crap. And that's why I like the fact that we are United States. So if there's a state that you don't want to get down with, you can move to a state that benefits your way of life.
Right.
And you're still here in America. So I'm good with that. But I like the fact that they are telling me the shenanigans that they're attempting in order to not lose control.
Yeah.
That's all this is about. We got the power and we don't want to lose. So here's the stuff we're going to do. We're going to throw a whole bunch of crap up against the wall and we're going to see what sticks. And that's that, in my opinion. So no, I'm all for improving processes in the voting structure. I'm even open to getting rid of the electoral college and just let it be the popular vote.
Wow.
I got no problem with that, because that's more simplified.
That's huge to say.
One quick point on that. This is how you call the Republican bluff. Get rid of the Electoral College, because the Electoral College will help them way more than it ever helps a Democrat.
Absolutely.
So when you say, if we're really a democratic nation, then we don't need the Electoral College.
No, we just need
Then
the popular vote.
Right. But then the historians will come back and say, no, we're not a democratic nation, Mr. Brown. We are a democratic republic, Mr. Brown.
I am with you on that.
I tell you.
Get rid of the Electoral College, and elections become a lot more fair.
In the history of the world, is
Not
there
really.
another document like the Constitution that is the rule that rules the day? But when it was constructed, the world didn't look anything the way it looks like now.
So
Is there another document out there that I'm not aware of?
So wait a
that has
minute.
this power?
What you're really getting at is, have we run our 250 to 260 year rule?
Yes.
So
yeah. We're about 100 years.
Hold on.
We're about 100 years overdue of restructuring or needing. Look, needing new documents.
When you go back to that paper that British author wrote about empires, there was one empire that had two different periods, about 250 to 260, and that was Rome. They had the Roman Empire and the Roman Republic. So if we're leaving out of this quote empire attitude and going more into our republic, or are you saying no, it's over? We are at our end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the document was written under totally different. Phones didn't exist.
So one of the big conspiracy beliefs, they believe that come July, President Trump's gonna make the announcement about the aliens. Now that's just some type of hypothetical, crazy conspiracy idea. Okay. What I would tell people is, we're in a time period where anything, and I do mean anything, can happen at any given time. So when people laugh and say, "Oh, you're crazy," there's no such thing as aliens, and you've had too many of these briefings in Congress. So when Trump is trying to change the way you vote, he's trying to do everything to keep America how it used to be, which means make America great again. That's what that means. Let's go back to how we used to be, because what's coming isn't beneficial for people like me.
Yeah.
Now, when I say President Trump's not beneficial for people like him, there's people who look like him who will be just fine, but they're way above him. Those are the true wealthy that dictate the pace. So I wrote this down about the 50 years of Trump damage by Keith. If this world is really run by, quote, the elite families, then Trump can't do anything without their approval. If that is true. But if that's just some type of crazy conspiracy and Trump's able to do what he wants to do, then maybe 50 years of damage, maybe he's right. Maybe Keith is right on that. Maybe.
So let me.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Yo, Richard, you're on hundreds tonight. Like I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying.
Give me a second. Give me a second. Because I don't want to give
Absolutely
more promotion than what I already have by leaving this comment up there. However, I don't agree with this comment. Healthcare is a service and not a right. Life insurance, however, is a service, right? But healthcare for Americans and for America and Americans should be as what we would often deem everything else to be as American as apple pie. There should never be a reason why our healthcare system, because of our politicians and their inability to actually function properly, should be denied. Healthcare should not be denied to any American citizen at all. There is no excuse for it outside of party lines playing with people's lives. I don't think a lot of folks actually understand the difference between health insurance and life insurance and healthcare. That's an unfortunate, ignorant point of America and Americans, where you would boast about an American citizen passing away because of our inefficient healthcare system. That does not have to be the way it is. The only reason why it is the way it is because we are in a capitalistic society that has controllers, which we call lobbyists, that can make it this way. We don't have to be here when it comes to healthcare. We've got to get past the point of ignorance and not understanding what the system is supposed to do and the things it's designed to do, it's flipped upside down. We should not be working for these politicians. These politicians should be working for us. Although I appreciate all of the interaction in the comments, I'm a bit disappointed because it's showing me that Americans would rather work for our political system and our politicians instead of realizing we, the people, are actually the majority. And we might not all agree, but we all have essentially the same goal, which is for at least our families to be able to stay healthy, eat properly, and make our money.
K. Lindsey Jr., you misspelled your.
Thank you. I was just thinking the same thing.
People that you're calling dumb, you misspelled your.
Yeah, everybody knows it's why you are.
You are. You are dumb would have got you where you needed to be. But Y-O-U-R?
I didn't even see the comment, but
I saw it.
Hold on, wait.
K. Lindsey Jr. think he's on one. You should have a seat.
Hold on. Let's answer. Wait.
Your intelligence is showing.
Let's go to that Mark Block question. I have a question. Wait. Go back to that Mark Block, please.
Yeah.
Block, I have a question.
Let me go back up because that was further up.
I don't want to ignore him.
Yeah, Mark Block corrected K. Lindsey Jr. as well.
Yeah, so Mark Block did. It was so far back that I might not be able to find it. But the question was,
do either of us voter ID in that state?
Yeah, do either of us do any of us on the panel actually live in a state with voter ID laws?
I do.
I don't think so. I don't.
Texas.
California doesn't have that. Texas has
I cannot vote in Texas without my identification at the polls.
I have to show an acceptable, and they have the list, an acceptable form of government ID in order to vote. Whether it was my old ID when I was in uniform or some type of ID now, it has to be an acceptable government form in order to actually go cast my vote.
It has an ID, yeah. So what I would say to Mark Block, I think 781 or whatever, or 7581, I would venture to guess that the southern states have voter ID. I would venture to say that. I would venture, because California, I know we don't have a voter ID out here.
And what I'll do is I'll look that up, and I'll put out a separate post about it just to in order to answer that question in the future. Thank you for that.
You know, that thing about that healthcare. But healthcare is a service, not a right. The person that said that at
K.
Lindsey Jr. Yeah.
Here's my question.
Your and not your.
On one hand, because that's part of the Republican mindset. So on one hand, the Republicans tell us that we're a God-fearing nation, and that our principles are based upon kind of the Ten Commandments. That we're a righteous nation founded upon God, even though we have freedom of religion for you to choose any religion you want. So when you say healthcare is a service, my belief in God says if someone is sick, they should get healthcare, and they should not be put, bent over the barrel saying, well, we can't see you if you don't have insurance, or we're going to charge you this arm and leg. And I'll tell you the big reason why I feel this way. Klein C. Jr. And I want everyone to hear me on this, because I've been saying this the whole time I've been coming to these podcasts. Everyone, Democrats get their money through business, but the money originates with the Federal Reserve System. The Republicans get their money through business. They're job creators. They get their money initially from the Federal Reserve System, okay? Your Federal Reserve System prints money out of thin air. So when they tell you there's not enough money for healthcare, that's an absolute lie. But when the government says we want to put hundreds of billions into the Pentagon, that's untraceable, that's no problem.
Richard,
because we have
what you care about gets done, my friend.
I'll stop there.
What you care about gets done.
Yeah.
My point when I brought that up with the postmark, it's not about healthcare or health insurance. It's about the process. If the process includes a postmark now, and now the post office is going to mess with the postmark, then fix it on the other side. Eliminate the postmark requirement for these people that need to get things mailed by a certain date.
But I want to go back to the
date. Same thing with taxes.
But I want to go back to
so smart
all this. But all of this stuff we're talking about, all these comments going back and forth with each other, it all starts with money. Because this nation was founded on money. Who has the money calls the shots. And when you have a private bank that's not a government agency that can print money out of, they'll tell the Treasury how much money to print up. But the money is not based off of anything but perception. So when they tell you we can't afford to have health care for those, that's an absolute lie.
Well, if I can interject.
Hold on, Keith. Wait a minute, Keith. This is not subjective. This is a fact. Your money is not backed by anything but by Mr. Keith Ross's perception on how he feels that day.
So
also not true, but well, okay, wait. Let me just interject because I've agreed with so much of what you said tonight. In this case, I think there's a little bit of zeitgeist attached to some of the things that you said, and it's not. And it's no shade to you whatsoever, because I feel like a lot of people have been exposed to the whole zeitgeist conspiracy theory. The reality is that the U.S. Treasury is not actually a private corporation. They and the dollar is not backed solely by perception, although perception of the U.S. dollar does affect certain things internationally. However, so when Woodrow Wilson took us off the gold standard and the silver standard,
1913, they passed on December 23rd. So 1913, when they passed the Federal Reserve, because the second central bank never got extended. No, you don't want to go down this rabbit hole with me.
Well, hang on. Let me get through this. When he took us off of the gold and silver standard, and I can give you a very modern example, a very recent modern example of why that was necessary, is he took us off the gold and silver standard because if your economy is based solely on the assets that you hold, your economy can never grow beyond the value of your assets. So, for example, take BRICS, right? So that's the new thing. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia. They want to back. They want to back that currency with gold and possibly, I believe, oil. Yes. So the problem with backing a currency with gold is that if there's a wealthier country out there that wants to go and buy up all your gold, well, right, now you no longer possess that gold, which means that as long as that gold is not in circulation, the value of your currency will tank. And so that was the reason why we left gold and the silver standard. Our currency is not backed. It's not backed solely by perception. Our currency is backed by our credit.
Mr. Ross, number one, President Wilson didn't take it off the gold standard. We went off the gold standard in 1933, and then the convertibility situation happened in 1971 with the Bretton Woods. So get your back straight. So when someone comes on here and they talk about this, there's certain things I know like the back of my hand. That's the first thing. Second thing, when you talk about being able to expand, subjectively, by the way you're viewing it economically, which is not a true science, you are correct. But here's the catch to this. When you only have so much gold, that means you're not going to create people who have so much money, they're detached from everyone else. Everything kind of stays kind of suppressed. So you don't have inflation, really. Everything stays in moderation. So when they ask you, why is a dollar now not the same worth of a dollar back in the 1900s? Because you left the gold standard. That is why. And once you leave the gold standard and you can print money based off of how you feel, then the Federal Reserve, that is not owned by the United States government, it's a private organization owned by private individuals, even though the chair of the Fed is appointed by the president to make it look like it's federal, because that's a con. Now, those are facts. Pure facts.
Exactly. So let's back up to when you said that there would be no inflation, right? So inflation is that is so not affected by not being on the gold standard, because that same logic, then why is it that in virtually every nation every major, you know, the nation power in the world, why are their prices not the same as they were in the 1970s? The reality
Because
is
they have a central bank. They have a central bank, sir. That's why.
and so do we.
Well,
Okay,
that's
but
the problem.
they don't all have a central. They don't all have a central bank. But even if
Mr.
they
Ross,
did, then
China
what
has
is
a
it?
central bank. Japan has a central bank. Germany has a central bank. England has a central bank. America has a central bank.
Okay,
I believe
when
India and Pakistan have central banks because they have nuclear bombs.
when
So
you have
everybody run out of me.
I just lost you guys for a little while.
Yeah, I don't know what
Can you hear
happened.
me?
We can hear you.
Oh,
You're,
yeah.
you're not clear anymore. You're kind of
You're-
coming in crackling.
Yeah, I'm hearing crackling too. Can you hear me now?
Wait a minute, Mr. Keith. When
Yeah.
you come on the show and use those big words, zeitgeist. Let me tell the public what zeitgeist is. From German refers to the defining spirit, mood, or general trend of thought and feeling characteristic of a particular period. That's what zeitgeist means. Go ahead, Mr. Keith. Go ahead.
Well, no, there was actually a series of videos called Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
That was the title of them, and they went and they had a huge segment on the Federal Reserve, and it's a lot of conspiracy theories. But the
Mr.
reality
Ross-
is this. What's that?
Mr. Ross, let me tell you about this conspiracy stuff. I was told as a child, as a young black child, that the U.S. government experimented on black people. I said that's an absolute lie. The government would never do that.
That was not a lie.
Hold on. At
Yeah.
that time, when I was being told that by my family, that was just a big conspiracy. Okay. But that was the truth. I was told that AIDS was created. Now, the verdict is still out on that. I was told that COVID was created. Now, President Trump swears that thing was created and then sent to China and blamed on the Chinese. And that's
If
why the
you said
Chinese.
it, I can't believe it.
Okay, fine. I walked away from that one. So,
Oh no, he stated it. It sounded like this. Good. It's absolutely a Democratic hoax. It was the Democrats. They made it up, and then it was, I like my numbers where they are, and that was.
all I'm simply saying is your Federal Reserve System is not federally owned. That's a hustle. It's privately owned, and they tried to run the hustle.
What's
on
privately
you.
owned?
Yes, it's privately owned. It's not.
No,
owned by
what were you saying is privately owned?
The Federal Reserve is a private-owned organization. In fact, if you work for the Fed, you don't get a pension from the government. You get a pension from the Fed. They have their own classification system. So now the president does appoint the head of the Fed because that makes it look like it's kind of federal, but it's not. And that's why they're so fiercely independent. And that's why when Trump says, "Hey, I want to have some influence on the Fed," they're like, "Wait a minute. When we were established in 1913, you don't have no type of influence on us. We do what we want to do. We have our own budget." So when you say
if that were the case, then why is it that Congress has a say in what happens
they don't
financially
have
in
a
this
say.
country?
They don't.
They don't?
What Congress did. Wait a minute. December 23rd.
They don't have any say on
they do
raising
not.
the debt ceiling.
No, they do
They
not.
don't have.
No, wait a minute. That's on what the Congress does. But when it comes time for the Fed, when the government says we need money, we don't have enough money, they go to the Fed. And the Fed says, how much money you need? They say, we need this much. And then the Fed tells the Treasury, go on and print it up. And you'll pay us back this money that came out of thin air with the taxpayers' money to pay the interest because you're so far behind in the past from not paying us all the money back.
All right, so I gotta pull us out of the depths of the because I know actually I do want to have a full segment dedicated. Deuce has to be present for that as well.
Oh my God! That's a trigger. That's a trigger.
We got to do it. I definitely want to have the economy talk and all that other good stuff about money, fiat currency, relevance, not relevant, petroleum, the petrodollar, all that.
Rich, text Deuce and tell him I have my USC t-shirt on.
but
I wasn't going to be shirt and a hat, but I decided to chill.
We got to turn the corner, gentlemen, and get around the horn. I got my kiddos
Andrew
upstairs.
Jackson, yes.
that
Mr.
way
Med
before.
10 _91. Andrew Jackson knew the dangers because he wouldn't extend the charter for the central bank. We went off the central bank. He's absolutely right.
Man,
he knows the history of it.
We definitely got to have that discussion. V, my bad, man. I wanted to get you in there a little bit more, but the comments were crazy tonight, so my attention was kind of turned towards some of the comments.
It's like on fire.
Yeah, I had to. There was a couple of people.
Look at this. Look at Clancy Jr. All central banks are a scam. Now listen to this. We've been disagreeing. This is why tonight is so interesting, Mr. Glass. All of this came from you talking about this nationalized voting. All of this came because of that.
It did, and we're gonna keep the energy going and keep the movement flowing, but not tonight. we got we gotta get around the horn, and I gotta perform my fatherly duties. So around the horn, I will start actually with Keith. I wish your face was still showing, brother, but
my face isn't showing.
No, man, no.
I had that problem a couple times. I don't know what. Now you got the silhouette. Is he the darkness?
Can you see me now?
Or the silhouette?
No, we can't see it.
Oh man,
So
I'm sorry for depriving
you
guys of this beautiful face.
If you wanted to either hop down and come back on to try and do it, I'll push it over to Richard Lynn for their around the horn real quick. And so by the time you get back on, we should be able to see you.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out and jump back in.
All right, sounds good.
All right, 1 sec.
While that happens, Rich, around the horn.
All right, I'll be real quick. Tonight has been really interesting about nationalizing voting when we know that the U.S. Constitution says the states control their ballot box. It's more interesting when the Republican Party, who believes in small, limited federal government and believes in big state government, now wants to have nationalized voting because it's going to benefit them to help them win in the midterms and in 2028. Funny how the roles can get reversed. Finally, all of this comments tonight, there was one thing about term limits that people, I think from both sides agree with. Term limits. And then we finally talked about the Central Reserve. And some of the same people who we thought, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, knew that the Federal Reserve was a scam. I think that's very interesting how we had all these major arguments, comments from opposing sides, but yet there was some type of solidarity on certain things regarding the term limits and the Fed. I think that's pretty amazing that we were able to get through this. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. V, you up to go around the horn real quick, my man?
Yeah.
All right, it's on you, brother. It's on you.
Hey, no. What I enjoy is dialogue, right? Number one. Number two is you don't have to agree with what I say, 100%. Number two. And then number three, do I actually care that you care? No, not at all. But no. Glass, hey, appreciate you. Always getting me involved. I apologize. Still doing work currently, and nope. Love it.
All right, my man.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, if I pissed you off, then I'm doing my job. That's it.
All right, Keith, I think we got you, man. Yeah, you back. We see you.
All right, what we doing?
Around the horn.
Around the horn.
Your
Yes,
final
sir.
comment.
Final comment. My final comment is that we are at a tipping point in history at this moment. These midterm elections are the most important elections that have ever happened in the history of this country. And if there is not a resurgence of checks and balances within our government, we won't have a democracy anymore. And we won't have the freedoms that we were raised knowing are our actual rights in this country. So I guess my message to everyone is despite what side somebody may feel like they're on, at the end of the day, we should all be on the same side. And it has nothing to do with fiscal views. It has nothing to do with, religious beliefs. What it should have to do with is protecting the people in this country and protecting our rights and making sure that we have a country left for our children rather than putting them in a situation where they're going to have to fight for the freedoms that we already have. And that is my thought.
I dig it. I dig it. Next up, Lynn.
Yo.
We got you.
Okay. This has been I guess the drinking game word tonight is entertaining. I'm watching people that were hurling insults and all this other stuff are liking and subscribing, which, is crazy. But getting back to the point about national elections, I think it's too. To me, it's something that takes away from the greatness of the United States of America, and I don't believe it will happen. I think if it were to happen, it would be a disaster. And I believe that the fraud level would increase. Right now, voter fraud is like UFOs. It's like barely, when we go looking for it, it's very difficult to find, very difficult to uncover, because I'm not going to say it doesn't occur, but I don't believe it occurs to a degree that takes it from one candidate and gives it to another candidate. The way I see these things happen across the globe. Like, I'm not an aficionado on elections in Mexico, but I will tell you this. Dozens of people who are running for office every election season in Mexico get killed. Or should I say murdered? Murdered in the streets, campaigning, giving speeches, at rallies. And that doesn't happen here. And I'm glad to see that it doesn't. But it happens all around the world. Once upon a time, I worked in Nigeria, and you know what they had at the polls in Nigeria? Dudes with machetes. You want to talk about voter intimidation? Dudes with machetes. So I think, agreeing with Keith, we're at a tipping point, but I believe it's going to tip in the favor of fairness. I do believe these things are being concocted because there's a fear of losing. The last time I paid for a Tyson fight, he bit a man's ear. And he bit that man's ear because he was afraid he was going to lose the fight.
No, who's getting headbutted? No, come on now.
No, Richard, I'm not going to debate this with you. He bit the man's ear because he was afraid he was going to lose. And that's the last time I paid for a Mike Tyson event.
That the whole thing was being that big old forehead and kept headbutting Mike Tyson.
Look, homie, don't play that. So that's my word. I'm out.
I dig it. I dig it. Thank you for that. As always, I appreciate everyone on the panel as well as the comments. I always learn something whenever we get together, and that's one of the beauties of having this actual platform. So I'd like to say, when people are on this actual platform in this podcast, there's one thing that is for sure, and that is we want to talk and debate with each other, because we understand that evolution takes friction. It takes being uncomfortable. It takes moving your own goalpost from one point to the next. That's evolution. And very similar to what Keith and what Lynn are saying, if America is not ready for evolution, we are absolutely at a tipping point. We're at a friction point. We're at a hard place, a very hard place. And evolution does one of two things. It either maintains you and you evolve and get better, or you perish. So, America, at this tipping point, we also have a decision to make. Do we want to continue to thrive together in a bit of a paraphrasing movement of Elder James Baldwin, or do we wish to go ahead and perish as individuals. This is a country that has been maintained by all for all. Or I'll say it even like this: it's been fought for by some for all. That's the truth of it. There are some of us on this platform who can easily say who and what a patriot is not, because we earned that talking point. We earned that right to say it. And we probably don't, because that's not where we want the ball to end. That's not where we want the buck to stop. We want this to continue. We want to continue to have the hard conversations and the debates respectfully. You don't have to agree with us. You don't have to agree with you, but we want you here. So with that being said, make sure that you like and subscribe. Come back. We'll be here every Wednesday starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is for the Pulse. And for the Legacy Table, we will be on Thursdays. We got a crazy topic tomorrow on the Legacy Table. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about Ye and Nicki Minaj, two ends of the spectrum. So come and join us for that tomorrow. That is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we will be here, same bad time. Go ahead.
K. Lindsey Jr., I served this country in the United States Navy, and I was also president of an oil and gas company in Nigeria in 2009. I know you don't believe me. I don't care if you believe me, but those are the facts. Sorry. I'm sorry I don't look like a soldier to you right now. I'm sorry.
It would be just for the listeners. You'd be hard pressed to test the panelists about the patriotism that are on here, especially the mainstays. We're
veterans.
Absolutely.
We wrote a check to the United States government, a blank check,
voluntarily,
up to and including our lives.
Voluntarily.
Yes. And we volunteered. We weren't drafted.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we often say or we often push. We usually just have our debate and our talks just as regular guys. But we've all earned our place in history, in the history books of the United States of America, by serving our country. So
you know, James, my Israeli friends think I'm crazy because they had to go.
Oh yeah.
36 months. They're like, you volunteered? I said, yeah, I did. I stepped up. They're like, no way. They had to give 36 months.
And I want everybody to know, all the people in the comments, Democrats and the Republicans, and to the independents and other parties, I don't belong to no political party. There's certain issues I agree with the Republicans on. There's certain issues I agree with the Democrats on. But I don't belong to any party, and I have my voting record. So when I tell you I can pull up my voting record from 2012 up to now, for every major election or general election, primary, I mean that. So sometimes we say things on here and you think, oh, they're just talking. When we start talking the facts, facts are facts. And what happens is there's facts that help the Democrats and there's facts that help the Republicans. And then there's some facts that don't help neither one. So when people say, well, you know, I can't stand the Republicans, I can't stand the Democrats, you've already lost the conversation, because you can't demonize one whole party because of what a couple of things one of the members of that party may have done. And when people come on these comments, Mr. Glass, and they talk about, well, the Republican Party was the party of the abolitionists, yes, you are absolutely correct. But you haven't really done anything from the 60s going forward. You haven't really done anything to, quote, help the minorities. You said, well, we're trying to help all America equally. And so to all these people in the comments, you want to help everybody equally, but yet we didn't start on the equal platform. So the thing about equality and equity, do I believe in DEI? At this point, no, I really don't. But to other African Americans who do believe in DEI, even though they haven't been the ones who've been the most beneficial or benefited from the DEI program, I understand that too. So I want all these people in the comments to know that, listen, when you come on here, you can exercise your freedom, but try to listen to other people and try to acknowledge, you know what, you may be right on this point. Can you acknowledge me on my point? I'm done.
Absolutely. So with that being said, as always, we thank everybody for coming out, and you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to be with us, and we absolutely appreciate that. Let's keep the momentum going. We'll be back next week for some more great topics, some more great panelists, and some more great information. With that being said, thank you all for coming out. God bless and good night.